Hey freaks and weirdos, yes, we've reached the second video and I've already changed everything about my setup. How exciting. Love that for me. From the title of this video, you can tell that we are going to be ranking Glee characters today. So the thing about Glee, it's interesting because I would say that Glee was probably the first adult TV show that I ever watched, which is probably why I have so many problems now. But anyway, yes, I was a Gleek, like a major Gleek. Like I was upset I didn't watch the movie level Gleek. And yes, I know Glee has some issues. It was somehow a show that tackled a lot of issues that were not talked about before. One of the first to do that, but somehow also managed to tackle them all wrong. Like really wrong, actually. They had a couple hits, let's give them that, but they had a lot of misses. But today I'm not going to be talking specifically about the show, I'm only going to be talking about the characters. And when I say I'm talking about the characters, I am talking about the characters. I know that the actors are just as controversial as their characters, if not more, but we are not going to be talking about the actors. We are purely talking about the characters. So no matter what my feelings are about the actors, I'm only going to be basing these rankings off of the characters. Okay? Awesome. Got it. Good. So with that, let's just jump right on into it, everyone. And if you disagree with me about anything, just know you're wrong. Okay, as you can see, I've got my rankings right here. And this is how we're going to scale them. The top is literal icon, which is, as it sounds, literally iconic. One of my favorite characters on Glee, and there were a lot of good ones. Despite the controversy, Glee definitely had a lot of great characters. So literal icons will be my favorite characters. Secondly, we have solid characters. Solid characters are characters I wasn't necessarily obsessed with, but I do think that they were really solid characters, and they had a lot of growth. They had strong personalities, you know, all the things that solid characters should have. Next, we have pretty cute. So these are sort of solid characters, but they have more issues than I would like for a solid character, but they're pretty cute. You know, I didn't hate it when they were on screen. I was just like, oh, they're here. I don't know anything about their character, but I'm glad they're here. Next, we have sure. And this basically means, sure, like, I liked when the characters were on screen sometimes, but most of the time they were served literally no plot purpose at all. Like, literally at all. Like, why were they there? That's what I mean by sure. Next, we have no thank you. And these are characters that I did not vibe with at all. Like, they might have had some good moments, they might have had some good lines, but overall their characters were trash, and I hated them, and I always rooted against them, and I might have not even liked their songs. And with Glee, not liking their songs is a really big deal. And then last, and certainly least, we have Mr. William Schuster. I'm not even sure if that's his full name. It might just be Will, but I don't care. We'll talk about this later, but this guy, oh my gosh, definitely a miss. And with that, let's get on to the rankings. So I might not be going exactly in order, but I'll try to keep it somewhat arranged. So first we have April Rhodes. Now, if you don't remember who April Rhodes was, she was a character that was introduced in season 1. She is played by Kristen Chenoweth, who is an amazing actor. Loved her as Glinda on Wicked. She's a beautiful voice. Maybe this time her duet with Rachel was actually iconic in every way. The high note at the end was literally spectacular. But overall, I don't understand why April was there. She was singing and dancing with, at the time, most of them were sophomores, like super sexually. I think there was a point where she spanked 2 of the male characters. I might have hallucinated that, but since it's Glee, I probably didn't. So April Rhodes, love her songs. She's a great singer, great actress, great character, made a lot of bad mistakes though, so I'm gonna put her in, sure. Oh gosh, this is gonna be hard. Okay, next we have Artie. Okay, so besides the fact that he was not paralyzed, and he was in fact able-bodied and was just in a wheelchair playing someone that couldn't walk, besides that whole mess, Artie sucked. Like, oh my goodness. He was so mean to Tina. And yeah, Tina faked a stutter and everything, but, oh, also major spoilers, if that wasn't clear. I'm gonna be talking about basically everything that happened on Glee. So if you don't wanna know everything that happened on Glee, don't watch the video. But Artie literally, oh, I just wish he was played by someone that was actually disabled. Like, I feel like that was such a mistake and it made me so sad. But he also had very, very good songs. So I'm going to put him in, I think I'm gonna put him in, I mean, I really liked his relationship with some characters, so I think I'm gonna put him in pretty cute. Okay, next we have the Queen, Ali Stroker. I'm forgetting what her character's name is. I'm gonna put it right here. But literally, this is what I'm talking about. This is what disabled characters should be. They should be played by disabled actors because it's already so hard for disabled actors to play characters. So when they have a disabled character, they should cast someone that's disabled. I mean, duh. But yes, I love her. She, I think, sang one song, which is a tragedy because this Broadway winning actress, Tony Award winning actress, has such a beautiful voice. Also loved her on the Glee project, which is a whole other discussion. But yes, for this character, even though she was in literally one episode for some reason, she and Artie could have been so cute. But I'm going to be putting her into solid character. I love how she's more solid and she had less lines than both Artie and April. Ooh. Okay. Next, we have the king, the icon, the warbler, Blaine Anderson. Okay, Blaine for some reason cheated on Kurt with this random guy. We didn't even see the guy's face, but he cheated on him because he was lonely. I mean, storyline, major storyline mistake. But overall, Blaine had amazing songs. I think he's one of the characters that had the best songs because all of his songs smacked. Teenage Dream, I significantly prefer his version to Katy Perry's. No offense, Queen, I love Katy Perry. I'm just saying his version of Teenage Dream was significantly better. So I'm going to be putting him into, is he a little icon? Despite the cheating and despite the Karofsky situation that we're gonna be talking about later, I'm going to be putting him in literal icon. Oh, king. Next, we have Brittany S. Pierce. Oh, Brittany is interesting because she had probably the best one-liners and she was an amazing dancer and she got significantly better at singing as the show went on. But also, I don't know, Fondue for Tear was also really iconic, but something about her, I feel like felt flat sometimes. Like, she was an amazing actor, love the actress, she's actually iconic. She's literally danced with Beyonce until she was pregnant. Like, oh my goodness. And she wasn't even meant to be a big character. She just became one because she and Santana were so iconic, which we'll talk about Santana later. But I think I'm gonna put Brittany in solid character. Even though she was a little icon at times, overall, I don't feel like her character had a great storyline. And that's not really her fault. That's really the writer's fault, but I digress. We'll be putting her into solid character. Next, we have Miss Marley Rose. I love Marley. She was very, very annoying at times, but her singing and her entire aura was just so iconic. I love her outfits, even though her mom made them. I really wish they talked about her and her mom's relationship more because they were really iconic. And they only brought up the fact that she was overweight like once, which I feel like was a huge missed opportunity, as much as like a lot of things on Glee were missed opportunities, but I digress. But Marley overall, and they had this whole thing with like Jake versus Ryder, and I'm just like, who cares about these men? Like, Marley is too good for either of them. I think I'm gonna put her into solid character. I would put her into little icon, but she is with the pack of season 4 characters that honestly after season 3, I feel like Glee took a major dive down. And even though I loved Marley, like, she wasn't as iconic as some of the other characters, and I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So we'll be putting her into solid character. Next, we have Flynn. Wait, what's his name? I love how I forgot his name. This is so embarrassing. What the heck is his name? Brody. Oh my God, Brody. That's how forgettable this character is. Literally, Brody, he's so hot. He can dance. He's talented. And then I did this whole like that he's a call boy. I forgot what they're called. I'm gonna put it at the top. But it's not that they made him a call boy or whatever, and that was why I didn't like him that much. Like, obviously I didn't really care about that, and you shouldn't care about if someone does sex work. Like, that's their own prerogative. I honestly feel like they could have gone deeper into that storyline and it would have been super interesting. But it's the fact that he lied to Rachel about it. Like, that's what really upsets me. And like, there was no reason for him to lie. I know he was embarrassed and everything, but like, that's honestly a little unsafe to not tell your partner that you're doing stuff like that. And even though I understand it's really hard to make ends meet sometimes, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do, but I don't think he should have been in a relationship with Rachel if he wasn't going to be honest about it with her, you know? So I'm gonna be putting him into, I mean, sure. I would have put him into pretty cute, but like, he honestly, I literally forgot his name. Like, guys, you can't put him into pretty cute. Next, we have Mr. Burt Hummel, aka the best dad ever. Literally, the coming out scene between him and Kurt, where Kurt comes out to him, I think that was the first coming out scene I ever watched, and it was so iconic. Like, even though I was very, very young when I watched it, I know that the news was like obsessed with that scene because of how beautifully they did it and everything. And honestly, the character overall throughout the seasons was really, really good and was always so supportive of Kurt. And I feel like we need to see that more in the parental role with LGBTQ plus kids, like teenagers, because we don't see that a lot. We see so many examples of parents not being accepting towards their children because of their sexualities. But Bert did such a good job of showing what a normal father-son relationship should look like, despite their son's sexuality. And I want to hold your hand. That Kurt sang in season 2 was so beautiful, easily one of my best favorite songs. So, Burt Hummel, even though you did not speak a lot in Glee, I'm going to be putting you into, is he a literal icon? I think he is, guys. I think I'm gonna put him into literal icon right next to his son-in-law, Mr. Blaine Anderson. Next, we have Karofsky, aka Dave Karofsky, aka Why Did He Date Blaine, aka Horrible Writing Decision, aka I want to like him. Like the scene where he was in the hospital after his attempt on his life, and he was talking to Kurt, and Kurt was giving him advice on how he was gonna have really bad days, but he was also gonna have really great days. I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes that Glee ever did. But overall, Karofsky sucked. Like, he was so mean to Kurt, and Blaine still dated him. Like, I know that people change and grow, and that's fun and fresh or whatever, but like, he was awful to Kurt. He literally had to switch schools. Karofsky's the reason Blaine and Kurt ever met, and I know that sounds really cute and fresh, but that's awful. How could he have been with Blaine, and how could Blaine have let him be with him? Overall, didn't need to see him back in season 6. Oh, also, I watched all 6 seasons of Glee. I know I'm one of the few that did, but I understand if you've only watched the first 3, because those are really the only ones that count. But yes, I'm going to be putting Karofsky into, he had amazing lines, cough syrup, mwah, beautiful scene, but I think I'm gonna have to put him into, I mean, sure. He was a great plot point though, I have to say. Next, we have Elliot, aka Starchild, played by Adam Lambert, the iconic king. He, Married at the Night, was so iconic. I cannot believe he did that. And I see Kurt and Santana like cheering him on. And you know, when Kurt and Santana both like a performance, that means a lot, because those were 2 of the most iconic characters on Glee. So Elliot Starchild, kind of wish he was with Kurt at least at some point. But I do understand. I mean, obviously Kurt and Blaine are perfect together. But Elliot Starchild, overall, I would have to put him into solid character, because I did not see enough of him to be a literal icon. But like, I know that we didn't see a lot of Burt either, but it's just because his storyline was so vital to Glee, and so it showed so much what Glee was and was trying to do. That's a completely different situation than Elliot, because even though he was a great performer, he was not Burt level of iconic, you know? Next, we have Miss Emma Pillsbury, aka Mrs. Emma Schuster. even though I have some feelings about Will Schuster, I did always like Emma. Like, I thought she was really cute. I appreciated how they tried to do OCD and portray it and Fix You. That the entire scene surrounding the song Fix You I thought was really beautiful, and when they brought in her parents, I thought she did a great job acting it and everything. But overall, Emma was very annoying sometimes. Like, also touch me. It might just be called Touch Me. But that song in the Rocky Horror episode was so freaking cute and iconic. Like when Santana and Brittany were holding hands and dancing in the hallway, like adorable. But overall, I was never really obsessed with Emma. So I'm going to have to put her into Pretty Cute. I think Pretty Cute is literally made for Emma because she is pretty cute. And I'm really happy that her and Will had kids at the end, even though Will, you know, is Will. Next, we have Mr. Finn Hudson. And I said I was not going to talk about the actors behind the characters, but I do have to say, we did just recently pass the anniversary of his death. And when he died, and when they did the quarterback episode, I think that was probably the first time I was ever really, really affected by characters on TV. You know, like, it was my first adult show that I watched. And to see all the actors mourning the character that they lost, that was so beautiful. The songs on the episode were gorgeous. But overall, Finn, he had some downsides, you know. He was not always my favorite character. But I do have to say, he was a very, very solid character. And what he did for the storyline and for Glee was really exceptional. So I'm going to have to put him into literal icon. And I know, he's not on Burt Humble. He's not on Burt Humble level, but I still feel like he deserves that spot. So that's where I'm going to be putting him. There you go. Awesome. Next, we have Miss Holly Holiday. And Holly Holiday, I feel like, is a pretty controversial character. Like, not in the sense that she does anything bad, except for the song where she sang about sex with teenagers. But overall, like, the main characters, I find that whenever I talk about Glee with my friends or whatever, we all tend to agree with, like, how we feel about Rachel or how we feel about Finn. But, like, Holly Holiday, she's a bit more, people have differing opinions on her. I loved her singing. I thought she had amazing songs. Forget You, that entire performance was amazing. And also on the movie, they did Forget You, and I thought it was gorgeous and amazing and perfect and awesome. But Holly Holiday, I think I'm gonna put her into solid character because I think she did a lot for the show, specifically for Will. Like, Will was always very, very annoying, but when he was with Holly, I thought it was kind of cute. I honestly might have shipped them more than Emma and Will for a second there. And I might still ship them more, but that's beside the point. I'm going to be putting Holly Holiday into, is she a solid character or pretty cute? She had a very specific identity and she stuck with it. So I think I'm going to be putting her into solid character. Oh, you guys are totally going to disagree with me about some of these. It's okay. Next, we have Mr. Jake Puckerman, aka Puck's cousin, brother. It'll be above my head. But overall, I was always Team Ryder before he cheated on her. Not Ryder, but before Jake cheated on her, I was still Team Ryder. But Jake was a very good dancer, like exceptional. I don't know what song he sang and danced to that was like perfect. I think it might have been the Janet Jackson song. That's above my head, and I'm so sorry, future me, that you have to edit all these things. I just forget everything. But overall, Jake, I did not really like his character. And honestly, I don't think the show would have been that much worse without him. All he really gave was like a love triangle, and that's a little overdone. So I think I'm going to have to make him my first no thank you. So yes. Next, we have Mr. Jesse St. James, aka the man that Rachel ended up being with after Finn passed on. How I feel about that, that's a separate thing, but I do feel like he was the only one that I wouldn't have hated to replace. Not replace, but like, you know, to be in Finn's place, because he was a very good performer, and even though he treated her like trash in the first season, like he literally threw an egg at her, I still think Jesse was very, very good for Rachel, and he had very, very good duets with her as well. So I think I'm going to be putting Jesse St. James into solid character status. I would put him into literal icon, but there were a lot of times when I hated him. So we're even putting him into solid characters. I have to admit, I did really prefer him when he was in Vocal Adrenaline. But that's just me, you know. Next we have Kitty. And I know a lot of people agree with me on this, but Kitty was literally like, people treated her like she was the mean girl. Like she was such a mean girl character. Like we needed a mean blonde. But she was awful. Like borderline, almost too terrible. Like she literally forced, trigger warning. But she literally gave Marley an eating disorder. And even though that did a lot for the plot, I have to admit, I do feel like they went very far with it and not a lot of people fully saw that for what it was, except Santana. But like Santana always calls everything out, so that's like a different situation. But Kitty, she had great songs. She had a great voice. She was, you know, I loved all the songs she did, but especially Everybody Talks with Jake. That was one of like the few good things both of their characters did. But no, I can't. I honestly can't with her character. Like I think she could have been less mean and still been mean and been a better character. But overall, I feel like she did too many bad things, and I have to put her into no thank you. At least the version she is in the show. Next we have Kurt. Oh my gosh. Kurt definitely had like the biggest change throughout the seasons. He grew so much, mainly because he was actually going through puberty. Not really. I think he started on the show when he was like 19 or something, but like I used to be obsessed with Glee and I would watch all the interviews with him, and like he definitely matured as an actor as well. Kurt also made a lot of really bad mistakes. I think he had a thing with like the Baby Got Back guy that was in like 3 episodes for some reason. But like overall, Kurt was really, really iconic and I really liked him. I loved the relationship with Bert, obviously, as we've talked about before. But yes, I think Kurt was also a very good singer, very good actor, very good character, did a lot for the show. The character was literally made for Chris Colfer after his interview. And yes, I just really, really like Kurt, and I think he definitely deserves to be in literal icon status. So that's where I'm gonna put him. Next, we have Lauren Zizes, and there were other templates of these rankings on the ranking site, but they didn't always have a lot of the characters that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to specifically talk about Lauren Zizes. Not because I was obsessed with her character, because there were a lot of issues with her character, but I do believe showing different types of bodies and stuff like that is really, really important for not only Glee, but for every show. And we definitely lack that often. So I was really happy that Glee did that. And I do think that the character overall was very, very funny. She had moments when she was very controversial and she did a lot of bad things. Specifically the episode where she was talking to Quinn about how she used to be like bigger and have like a nose. She had to get a nose job. She didn't have to, but you know, like she was like treating her like she was like, I don't know, like that entire discussion felt very uncomfortable for me. And even though Quinn was not always the best character, I still feel like she didn't deserve to be in that conversation. And especially since right after it, like she had to walk down the hallway and see the poster of her before she had her nose job and everything. Like I felt like that all was just very, you know, really could have been avoided and everything. So that's where I'm going to be putting Lauren. Where am I putting Lauren? So I like that she was in the show, but I don't like what she did to Quinn, and I did not like her relationship with Puck because I thought that was really weird, and I don't like how they fetishized plus size women, and I don't like how women are fetishized in the real world, especially with their sizes and stuff like that. But I think I'm gonna have to put her in I Mean Sure, because she's definitely not a no thank you. Like I definitely don't dislike her as much as I dislike Jake and Kitty, but I don't think, I mean, she helped the show sometimes, but I mean sure, you know. Next we have Mrs. Mercedes Jones. Mercedes is so underrated. Obviously it's because she's a black woman. I'll just say it right here, right now. But she has such a beautiful voice. When she's saying, and I'm telling you, in the first season, even Rachel was speechless. And that's saying a lot because Rachel never shut up. But Mercedes is literally such a great singer. I think she might be my favorite singer on the show. Amazing performer. I'm so happy she made it in LA. As far as her relationship with Sam goes, I love interracial relationships. I think they're adorable, but I don't feel like he was up to par with her. But to be fair, I don't feel that anyone's up to par with Mercedes because she's actually an iconic queen. But yes, as you probably can tell by the way I'm speaking about her, she definitely goes into literal icon territory, and that was not a hard decision at all. Next, we have Mr. Mike Chang. I love Harry Shum Jr. I watched him in Shadowhunters, and he's an amazing actor. Mike did nothing for the plot of Glee. There was one episode where he talked about being Asian and wanting to dance, but that could have been a significantly bigger storyline. And like Tina, which we'll talk about later, he was very, like, he could have done a lot more with Glee. He was very, very talented, and they really underused his character, in my opinion. But with that, I will have to put him into pretty cute. I can't even put him into solid character because they did very little with the storyline. I honestly could not tell you anything besides he's dating Tina as we were speaking right now. And of course, that's not his fault. His face is cut off a little, which makes me sad. But yes, it does make him look more mysterious though. But yes, I do have to put Mike into pretty cute territory. Next, we have Principal Figgins. And Principal Figgins did literally nothing for the show, but I do feel like I needed to include him, not only because he was part of the reason why the Glee Club needed to be formed. He also had the iconic line, Miss Q $ Ha, when he was introducing TikTok to the audience. And just for that line alone, I have to put him into pretty cute. And yes, I realize he's higher than he's higher than a lot of people that people probably think I should hire them. But just for the key $ Ha line alone, he needed to go into pretty cute territory. So that's Principal Figgins for you. Next we have Puck. Hate the actor. Kind of didn't like the character either. I did not hate him as much as a lot of people do. And I mean, I understand when people hated him. He was very annoying. I put a picture of him when he didn't have the mohawk because I think he looked way better without the mohawk. But yes, with that, I'm going to put him into no thank you. He was the reason that Quinn got pregnant, and that was a big deal. And he had a relationship with Rachel for 5 seconds for some reason. But yeah, no thank you. Speaking of Quinn, we have Quinn Fabray next. So Quinn also had a major change throughout the seasons. They severely underused her in the later seasons. Whether that's because of the actor having things that they need to do or whatever, I do feel like I wished Quinn was there because Quinn was always one of my favorites. I thought she was very annoying at the start, but she has a beautiful voice. And the entire thing with Shelby Corcoran, who is Rachel's mom, and her wanting to have her baby, and then when she had pink hair and a tattoo, and when she sang Toxic with Britney and Santana, that was easily the sexiest song on Glee, I'll tell you right now. But overall, Quinn did a lot for the plot. She had a lot of character development. She grew a lot. She had an amazing song, amazing character, icon. So I think I'm gonna have to put her into literal icon status. I know, it's saying a lot because I am very picky with my literal icons. I'm really not though, because it's even with solid characters, but I do have to put Quinn into literal icon territory. I'm going to go out of order right now, and I'm going to skip to Rory Flanagan. And yes, I remember his full name, not because he did anything in the plot, because he didn't, besides be Irish, but because I loved Damien on the Glee project. I thought he was amazing. I thought his relationship with Lindsay was adorable. And Cameron, I loved him and Cameron as well. I thought he was an amazing actor. He was also severely misunderused in the plot. He maybe did. His only thing was like his relationship with Britney and like Santana being mad at him once. And yes, Santana being mad at anyone is iconic, but overall, I was just really bored with him. So I'm going to have to put him into, I mean, sure, just because I love Damien so much. I thought he was so cute, but his character was just, he fell flat. Next we have Ryder, and the actor has had a lot of problems and a lot of everything. But overall, Ryder, I did prefer him over Jake, which is not saying a lot because I did not really like Jake. And he also had a really good song with Finn. I'm forgetting what song it was. but I really, really liked that song and his performance with it. And I also really liked when he was talking to Marley in the bathroom at the end of when she was dealing with her eating disorder and everything. Trigger warning. And I just thought that was really, really beautiful. Like, that entire discussion really made me like him a lot more. But I don't really like the character as much. Also, he had a lot of issues within the plot of Glee as well. Like with the entire thing that went on with Unique, which I'm not going to be talking about here because it's a very complex issue and I feel like I'm really not prepared and I don't have the knowledge or the research to explain and describe what it all means. If you watch Glee, you know what I'm talking about. But excluding that, I will put writer into I mean sure, because I mean sure. Next we have Sam Evans. I really liked Sam, aka Trouty Mouth. I know I talked about him in Mercedes earlier and how I didn't really like him and I didn't really think he was worthy of Mercedes, but that's not really saying a lot because again, Mercedes is a queen and an icon. That doesn't mean Sam's a bad character. I really liked what they did with his money struggles storyline when Finn and Rachel went to his house. I thought they could have gone more into that, but I thought they could have gone more into a lot of the social topics that they covered. But Sam was a very good performer. I loved him in the second season and I liked him all the way through. I thought his relationship with Blaine was very, very cute. And yes, I think overall was he solid? Yes, I think he became solid because he definitely grew, not only through the course of the series, but also after Finn passed in the show and Corey passed in real life. He definitely stepped into a higher role within Glee. And I think he did well with it. So I'm gonna put him to solid character. So good for you, Sam. You're a solid character. Love that. Next, we have Miss Santana Lopez. So Santana, her monologues when she was like calling out people were usually great. I thought there was a period where she went a little too far with with Finn. Like that entire monologue when she was like destroying Finn, I feel like went way too far. I loved what they did with her coming out storyline. I think it was very touching, especially when they sang I Kissed a Girl, which I realize sounds a little controversial and a little, you know, maybe but it was like when all of her friends were like talking to the guy who was like flirting with her and like saying a lot of bad things about her being a lesbian and how we could fix her. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, in that scene, I thought it was really cute how they all stood up for her and stuff. And I think that what they did with her and her mom was also really, really good. I'm really happy that her mom ended up accepting her at the end, and I loved her relationship with Brittany, obviously. Is she a little icon? I know it's hard. It's easy for a lot of people, and I know it's controversial that I'm having such a hard time deciding if she's a little icon, but it's only because she was very, very mean at a lot of the points. But yes, I will be putting her into little icon status. Is she on par with Kurt and Bert and Mercedes? I wouldn't say so, but I do feel like she shouldn't be in solid character. Like she should have a step up. So I'll put her into little icon. Next we have Sebastian Smythe. And even though I love Kurt and Blaine, I really do have to say that I would not have hated if he dated Blaine. Like I think they could have been really cute. Cause yeah, like I love Grant Gustin. I loved him on The Flash. I have not caught up with that series. But I think he's an amazing actor, and A Smooth Criminal with him and Santana might be one of my favorite songs on the show. Like the cello guys did not have to go that hard, but they did, and I saw it. So congrats to you. I know they're YouTubers, but I do have to put Sebastian into solid character, even though he had very little to do with bad and like how he started apologizing and how he became a better character after that new white guy came in that I've completely forgot about. I do have to put him into solid character territory. Next we have Miss Shelby Corcoran, aka Idina Menzel, aka Alphaba on Wicked, aka an amazing mom to Rachel. Literally, these actresses look so similar. When I was growing up, I literally thought they were mom and daughter. I do prefer I Dreamed a Dream over Poker Face, but both of them were amazing duets. And I think they did a great job overall with that relationship and going through it, expressing what it means to give up a child and stuff like that. So yes, love her. She's an amazing singer. Love her character, and I'm going to be putting into solid character status. So yay! Next we have Coach Beastie. I really liked this character. I loved the abuse storyline. Trigger warning. In I think it was season 3. Yeah, it was. And the songs that they sang. I love the montages they did. I love how honest it was, and I love how they talked about how Coach Beast had a hard time leaving because they didn't think anyone was ever gonna love him again. And I feel like that's really, really real for a lot of people, and I really appreciated that they did that. So yes, I will be putting Coach Beastie into solid character status. I do wish they did more with the character, but you know, for what they had, I feel like they did a very good job, and they deserve to be a solid character. Next we have, let's go to Sugar Mata. Again, very missed opportunity in terms of character and storyline. I think she was a little offensive, like the way they did her character, because she had Asperger's. I think they could have done a lot better, but I think Sugar had a lot of really good one-liners and stuff like that, and I really liked when she was on screen, and I liked that she was with the treble tones, and I liked her relationship. I just liked her relationships, and even though I wish they delved deeper into them, I don't feel like that's an actor thing or a character thing. That's more of a writing thing, so I'm going to be putting Sugar Mata into pretty cute territory, which is also a great category for the character, basically made for her. Next we have Sunshine. And there was a moment where I believe they said something about how Rachel sent her to a crack house. So you know that was made in 2012 because yikes. Very, woo. I can't believe they did that to her. But Sunshine had a beautiful voice. And I loved her singing Telephone with Rachel, even though that was very weird. Did anyone else get insane sexual chemistry between Sunshine and Rachel during that song? Because literally when they were looking in the mirror together, I was like, kiss, kiss, kiss. But that could just be me. I think Sunshine was a pretty cute character. Definitely not solid, or I mean, sure, because like she wasn't on screen a lot. But whenever she was on screen, I really liked her. And yes, I realize the actor is transgender, but I'm specifically speaking about the character right now, and that's why I'm using she, her pronouns. Now, we have Terry Schuster. I love her. Do I love her choices? No, but I love the actor, and I love how she said lines, and I loved her character in season 1. I think she did a lot. Her decisions obviously were not decisions I would make, but you know, a lot of the characters' decisions aren't ones I or any normal human being would make in the real world, but that's besides the point. Her faking her pregnancy was overall very extra, but when they revealed it and Will found out and he like ripped off her stomach, I mean, easily one of the best acted moments in Glee. So I'm going to put Terry into I mean sure, because she's not no thank you, because she did a lot for the plot, and she's not pretty cute because she was actually a monster, but I mean sure. Next we have Tina Cohen-Chang. She faked a stutter. That's already a big red flag. But Tina overall, I feel like was really underrated. Her relationship with Mike was underrated. Her relationship with Artie could have gone way more in depth. Her as a leader and as a singer and as a performer could have gone more in depth. I love that episode where they like switched personalities and stuff. And when she was Rachel, I thought that was literally, I was like, finally she's getting the attention she deserves. Like finally. Not only was the episode hilarious, but I just loved seeing her sing and be the lead. Like just for once, because Tina really had a lot going for her. I can't even put her into solid characters territory because I don't know anything about Tina. And again, not a character / actor issue, really more of a writing issue. But with that, I will be putting her into pretty cute territory. It kind of makes me disgusted that she's in the same territory as Artie. I mean, oh. But again, really don't have a lot to go on. I do love her dress in this picture though. We are now going on to Wade Unique Atoms, who was an amazing performer. I loved how Wade just like went into their character, and when they first were revealed to the audience and everything, you know what I'm talking about? They had a conversation with Kurt and Mercedes, which makes complete sense because Unique is literally their child, And Boogie Shoes was an amazing performance, and I loved Unique in New Directions. And as far as for storyline with Ryder, again, I said I'm not going to talk about it, but I do have to mention If I Was a Boy, Unique's rendition of it on Glee. Easily one of the best songs. Easily one of the best songs, and something I wish was talked about more, because I do feel like that entire song is very, very underrated, and I would say that is my favorite rendition, including Beyonce's, of the song. I feel like it just brought this whole other meaning to it, and I felt a lot more genuine and stuff. And I love Beyonce, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. It makes the song completely different and completely changes the meaning into something I believe that's a lot more deep. So that's what I'll say about Unique. With that, I will be putting Unique into pretty cute territory. The reason I'm not putting Unique into solid characters territory is because, like, there are a lot of moments where I did not love what Unique was doing, and I don't feel like those were always correct character decisions that the character would do. I feel like that was often writing mistakes. And again, not a character / actor issue, just the writing, and a lot of the writing did not work for Unique, so Unique is in a pretty cute territory. Oh, now we're getting into the characters we can talk about. Let's start with Sue Sylvester. Okay, Sue had easily the best lines in the show. She was so funny. She married herself. I mean, have you heard something more iconic in your entire life? Let me cut in. You haven't, because that's literally amazing. She married herself wearing a tracksuit dress. I mean, come on. Iconic. There were some times where I wanted her to ship her with Will. I don't know if that's completely just me, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Just because there was so much tension within the relationship. And what I really like about Sue is that even though she was really mean sometimes, but she was very complex. Like when she brought the Glee kids together to have Mercedes sing Hate on Me, because Will was always giving the students the same songs and it was always featuring the same people, which is true because Will did do that. And Hate on Me is one of my favorite Mercedes songs. And also when she like put Kurt and Blaine into the elevator and was trying to push them to be together. Of course, in the real world, that would be like literally kidnapping and awful. In the show, it was so amazing because she's literally doing what every clean person wanted to do, like pushing them together, and they had one of their best kisses in that elevator. And she literally had a like an entire area of clean stuff. Like, have you ever heard something more relatable in your entire life? No, you haven't. So obviously, I'm going to be putting Sue into literal icon territory, because even though there was a lot of times where I hated her, there were significantly more times when I was obsessed with her. Ooh. Oh. Oh, God, Will. I don't think I understood when I was watching the show how offensive everything he was doing was. Don't stand too close to me when he was singing that to Rachel. 1. Every time he rapped. 2. Blurred lines with teenagers twerking. Toxic with teenagers. I can't go on. There's just too many things. And last, technically not last, but last on their own character, Rachel. Rachel's very controversial. Not only because she made so many mistakes and was so annoying at so many times, and with the whole thing going on with Lee Michelle as well, I always found myself rooting for her, even though she kept making the same mistakes with love and her career, because she quit Broadway and went to LA for her TV show for some reason, even though Broadway was her dream the entire time. They literally talked about her being on Broadway like all the seasons, and then for some reason she gave it up to go to LA. I can't even go into that. But Rachel overall, amazing singer, amazing Broadway voice. When she was doing her songs for Fanny Bryce, when she was doing Fanny on Broadway, it was just iconic and beautiful, especially the song she sang about Finn. It was just very, very beautiful. And even though even though we all love to hate her, and even though we might have some issues with Leah Michelle, I think I kind of have to put Rachel into solid character, because even though she was not iconic, and even though she was not pretty cute, she was definitely a solid character, even though we all hate to admit it. She did a lot for the show. She was literally the heart of Glee for a lot of it. And a lot of Glee, and what we love to be Glee, would not have been possible without Rachel. So I'll put her into solid character. And lastly, I have a picture of everyone on Glee. And this is to show how I would rank Glee as a cast as a whole, with all the characters, even the ones I haven't mentioned here. And it's interesting because obviously there are a lot of issues with Glee, and they did a lot of things wrong, especially character-wise and especially writing-wise. Overall, I would have to say that I put all of the characters into pretty cute territory, because even though a lot of them were solid, and a lot of them were literal icons, a lot of them weren't solid, and a lot of them, there were some that were even too controversial for me to talk about because I didn't want to actually vomit. But overall, I think the cast is pretty cute. There are definitely a lot of shows I've watched since Glee that have significantly better dynamics, character-wise and stuff. This has nothing to do with necessarily the cast, but it's just the actors It has to do with the characters as a whole and how they all arranged together. I think Glee had amazing songs, and I think Glee did a lot for its time. And I obviously love them a lot because that's why I'm ranking them right now and sharing my rankings with all of you. But we can all recognize that Glee has issues. I will say, however, that they did pave the way for a lot of the storylines we have now that we love and are told significantly more deep and stuff like that. Glee was a changer. It was definitely an entertainment changer. It shook up a lot in the industry. They had a movie. Guys. They were a huge deal. I was a major Gleek. I think a lot of who I am as a creative is because I was a Gleek. And I'm overall really happy that I watched the show. I think everyone should have watched Glee when it was made. I can't really recommend it now because there are, again, so many controversial moments in the show that I know would be triggering for a lot of people, even in the first episode. But I will say that I am happy that I watched Glee when I did, and I think that it opened the way for a lot of new shows. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. I am excited to see you again next Thursday. Maybe I'll be seeing you sooner. I'm not gonna say anything right now, but yes, with that, I'm going to have to wish you goodbye. And if you disagree with any of my rankings, please feel free to rip me to shreds in the comments. I want to hear what you think, especially about Rachel, because I love talking about Rachel. But yes, with that, I will be bidding you all adieu, and I wish you have a great, great day.